Buyers are broke and the truck market is crashing. It doesn't take long to walk down the lot. You look at GM, Ram, Ford, and you see inventory building like there's no tomorrow. And when you see incentives all over the place, like save over $18,500 on 1,500 Ram models, payments from $129 weekly OAC, and signs like, asking why? Well, because I'm looking in here and check the sticker. This is a 24 Sierra 1500 Crew, 4-wheel drive, and they're actually asking $72,000, 224, $72,000 for a base pickup truck. And inventory such as medium-sized trucks and a whole plethora of trucks. As you walk down this lot, it doesn't take very long to see that these truck dealers, these Chevy truck dealers and GMs are filling up the lots, and they just can't sell these vehicles. They can't sell the SUVs, they can't sell the pickup trucks. What is going on? First of all, we can't ignore the obvious, which part of it is all the signs are clearly there that these trucks are not selling.
I don't understand a word you just said.
And while GM is advertising and bragging that they had some of their top sales, and collectively between Chevy and GM that they outsold Ford, which is predominantly the best-selling pickup truck in North America, Chevy is not telling you the whole story. In my opinion, Ford as well as Ram aren't expressing the fact that a good number of the sales that they're finding success in are actually fleet vehicles. And now from a corporate perspective, fleet vehicle sales are still a win. They get a harder number, but they sell them in volume. They sell them to companies, businesses, and cities or states that utilize them in high volumes. But what they're really looking for are the retail market, where they can alter the margins significantly. That's where the big dollars are, and that's where the sales are struggling. And while some of the stories seem like happy endings, and while there is a mixed bag of stories in this conversation, Canada, unemployment rate is up. In the US, it's fairly stable. We've seen some ups and downs, and those are all drivers as to whether people can afford the bigger expenses, for example, like house, rent, and cars or trucks. I mean, I'm looking right there on this list, and I'm seeing 155 grand, but that's the TRX. And then I'm looking at 105,000 for a half ton and 100,000, $100,000. Now, according to Cox, some of the stories seem to be good luck stories. Overall inventory is slightly dropping down. That means vehicle sales are slowly climbing. A lot of that has to do here in March and April, aggressive incentives. B and GM trucks are filling up the lots quick. Springtime, post-tax time. People have a little bit more money, people are feeling good, and it's time to go out and spend your money. But that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story, because while some vehicles are selling, a lot of the smaller vehicles are selling very well. For example, subcompacts and compact vehicles, especially from the Asian markets, Toyotas, Hondas are selling well. The latest report shows some of these compact and subcompact cars going up year over year of 14.1%, as well as 16.4% year over year on the subcompact SUV space. The reality is this last month, now that we got over tax time, we're starting to see that decline again. So clearly in this last month, we've seen less and less people buying. And even with that said, now that tax times basically slammed the door on that, we're seeing virtually every single segment of the car industry, including trucks, actually take a literal nosedive, with pickup trucks being the absolute worst, and they are not selling. Did you realize Ram, Dodge, Stellantis, they're not selling trucks. They're also not selling too many Jeeps. There's not a lot of these vehicles that are moving. The prices are... And mid-size SUVs and crossovers, we're seeing take a nosedive 7.5% in the last month, and about a 6.3% year over year, means that clearly there's this long-term chronic devaluing of a mid-size SUVs. People have less appetite for those larger vehicles. They're heavier on fuel, the insurance costs are up there, and people are starting to make other decisions. For example, some people are going electric, but we know the sales are going down there, and many people are just going to the smaller vehicles, the subcompacts, the compact vehicles, SUVs. Of course, like we said, the smaller Toyotas, the smaller Hondas. Those vehicles are selling like hotcakes, but even those ones are down in this last month. Clearly a sign that people are starting to respond to the negative marketplace, higher interest charges and inflation that's holding the banks, the reserves, Canada. They're not changing. There's conversation that they might make some changes later in the year, but here we go. We keep talking over and over by the fact that the overall market is sliding and people don't have the money and choices to stay away from larger vehicles like pickup trucks, which is the hardest hit, are those decisions that have people looking for more cost-effective vehicles. And contrary to the fact that GM's bragging and waving the banners that they're selling their trucks on an alarming rate, clearly the market doesn't indicate that. The numbers don't indicate that. We also see Ford. They're not selling their F-150s. We're seeing their lots start to fatten up with inventory. And further damage comes in the way of retail sales because of certain vehicles that just aren't selling. And even look around here, all the decals and logos. This is a gorgeous looking ride.
And the same thing over here, we have another Tremor right here. But how much is it?
And Rams, well, we know the same old song and dance that their inventories exceed twice the number of industry average. At 72, they're well over 140 days supply. They're just not selling, and now they're having to give vehicles away for almost $20,000 off of sticker. Clearly, things are getting desperate. Yeah, I've seen actual incentives where they were knocking out prices of $6,000, $5,000, $2,500, but now $18,500, and it doesn't begin and end with Rams like these great little pickup trucks like this. 4x4, it actually does apply to a lot of the Jeeps, not just the Wranglers. So you can take your pick of a Ram any day, shape, or size. They're just not selling. How about these full-size pickup trucks? Look at these vehicles. Lots of diesels, you got dualies, regular cabs with single rear wheels, and look, let's take a quick look and get an idea. $118,000. There was a time when you can get yourself a mid-level Porsche 911 Carrera brand new for that kind of money. That is getting out of hand. But this doesn't begin and end with the Jeep brand as well as Stellantis. We're seeing this with all makes and models, with the exception of a few. Lexus, Toyota, Honda, they're selling actually quite quickly, but they're doing more on delivery. This car market in Canada is absolutely ballistic, and people aren't buying. Cost of living's too high, and as you can see, even with some incentives on trucks, SUVs, cars, and that's every brand, they're still not selling. Chevys, by the way, in the United States are selling better than collectively with the GMs and GMCs and Chevrolets are selling better than Fords as well as Rams. But even here in Canada, they're not even selling. They're actually down from a year prior. So clearly the car market, truck market, isn't doing all that well. The worst part is Ram's coming out with a refreshed model in 2025, which promises to be quite different. But the fact remains is most buyers are looking for conventional V8s, and they're deciding to go out on a limb and provide nothing but a turbocharged inline 6-cylinder engine. Definitely going to have a toll on the core fundamental base buyers that you're seeing in the Ram space. Hey, look at this truck right here. We have a nice little GMC, and this is an Elevation Edition, has the 5.3 liter V8 engine. The latest statistics clearly show what we're seeing on the car lots. And when you walk down the lots and you look Ram lots, you see lots of inventory. For example, I've seen trucks as high as $150,000, $160,000. I've seen Wranglers here as much as almost 140 grand, all before taxes. I mean, these are serious dollars. But conversely, what's starting to happen now, after looking here and checking online, I'm starting to see the fact that what they're doing is hammering some incentives. You're seeing sticker and then you're seeing like a discount. And when you check out the GMC lots, take a look there. You have trucks everywhere. More trucks, big trucks, medium-sized trucks, and a whole plethora of trucks. As you walk down this lot, it doesn't take very long to see that these truck dealers, these Chevy truck dealers and GMs are filling up the lots, and they just can't sell these vehicles. And even on the Ford lots, you have pick of the litter too.
Ford goes and sells a truck like this. I mean, does everybody have this kind of money? We're dealing with a Shelby.
And look at the beautiful wheels on there. Sure, big bull truck.
This is an F-150 off-road Shelby right here with the big wheels. They jack it up, put the big fancy grille on the front. Here we're dealing with a Shelby. All kinds of greatness here.
But this greatness comes at a cost. Any guesses? How much? Let's take a look. There's a window sticker in here by Shelby American here.
What do we have here? Uh-oh. There's a whole host of parts and pieces, and you can see it's got a lift kit, big boots. It's got much more performance. I mean, if you look at it here, they do say 775 horsepower.
So you get the performance, the lift kit. Yeah, it's a nice truck.
But $193,000? Right there, folks. I'm not lying. $193,899.
Now I've literally seen it all. Reports show that sales are down on pickup trucks 8.9% month over month. Yeah, they're down close to 10%. So previously where you had 100 trucks sell, now you only have 90 trucks sell. That's a pretty big hit in the automotive industry. And as well, on top of that, year over year is a bigger telling story with a massive 18% decline on truck sales year over year, clearly showing people don't have the appetite, they can't afford it, and they're definitely looking for cheaper alternatives like subcompact cars, subcompact SUVs, vehicles that are better on fuel, cheaper to buy up front, cheaper to insure, and just easier to own. I've had so many conversations with people in the industry. I have people on the street, friends, peers, and the bottom line is a lot of people are just sort of hunkering down, battening down the hatches, so to speak, playing it safe, extending the life of the old existing pickup trucks that we have today, making it last longer. I've given you an example of my '03 Ram. I just keep that thing marching along. Even if it has a little rust, burns a little oil, I'm okay. We're going to keep that living longer and longer. And there's more people making those decisions, whether it's their trucks, SUVs, or cars, trying to maximize the life out of it and deferring the purchase of their next vehicle, knowing, of course, this looks like a ratcheting effect. And while we're seeing big incentives, and when I say big incentives, I mean lots of noise and banners and lots of communication of, interest rates being dropped, discounts on MSRP. The fact remains is after a 30 or 40% increase in the last 3 years of base MSRPs, people's rates and wages haven't gone up. A lot of people are living under bridges, barely afford food to eat. And they're making a decision. Trucks aren't necessarily in the cards. And as a result, we've seen that year over year, about 1 in 5 buyers has decided, nah, I'm good. We'll try something different or keep this one lasting a little bit longer. And when you hear buyers say things like, let them rot, or I saw a Bronco Raptor for $130,000, that's insane, or discounts aren't happening in Florida, Ford dealers are still charging insane prices, fees and markups, no discounts at all. And when I walk on a car lot and I see a new Ford F-150 Shelby going for almost $200,000, it makes me shake my head and say, where does this end? Customers aren't buying it, people are broke, and the market is crumbling. And with all of that said, definitely want to check out that Ford can't sell their vehicles. Why is that? What's happening? And they're forced to do something about it. Hope to see each and every one of you in the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.